When you first come to Vietnam for tourism or work, there's one thing you might find strange. In Vietnam, everything starts very early. While in many Western countries, the day begins at 8 or 9 a.m., in Vietnam, by 5 a.m., life is already everywhere. And I mean it, everything. The streets, the markets, the restaurants, even the parks. When you wake up at 7 or 8 in the morning, feeling like you're starting your day at a reasonable hour, the day in Vietnam has already passed its first half. I remember talking to a British friend who stayed in Hanoi for a few weeks. He told me he couldn't sleep past 6:30 a.m. because the street outside his hotel was already too noisy. Motorbikes, street vendors shouting, the sound of metal shutters rolling up. He thought maybe it was just his area, but then he moved to a different place and the same thing happened. He asked me, genuinely confused, do Vietnamese people ever sleep? Why does everything start so early here? As a Vietnamese person, today I'm going to explain this question for you. Okay, let's go. Let me paint you a picture of a typical Vietnamese morning, especially in cities like Hanoi or Saigon. At 5 a.m., the sky is just starting to brighten. It's still cool outside, and you can already see people on the streets. Elderly folks walking in parks, doing Tai Chi, street vendors setting up their stalls, laying out fresh vegetables, hanging up clothes, coffee shops opening their doors, the smell of iced milk coffee already spreading through the air, pho restaurants steaming with broth that's been simmering since 3 or 4 in the morning. By 6 a.m., it's not just a few people anymore, it's a whole stream of people. Motorbikes filling the streets, parents taking their kids to school, office workers stopping by for a quick bowl of pho or banh mi before heading to work. Markets are packed, people are bargaining, shopping, chatting. There's a flow of energy that's hard to describe unless you experience it yourself. And by 7 or 8 a.m., when many people in other countries are just starting to think about breakfast, in Vietnam, some people have already finished half a day's work. They've exercised, had breakfast, gone to the market, maybe even finished a meeting or opened their shop. So why do Vietnamese people wake up so early? Let me explain without making it sound like a history lecture, because actually, this isn't about ancient philosophy or rigid tradition. It's much more practical than that. First, let's talk about climate. Vietnam is a tropical country. That means hot, very hot, especially during the summer months. By 10 or 11 a.m., the sun is scorching. If you're outside at midday, you'll be drenched in sweat within minutes, exhausting, uncomfortable. And if you're doing heavy work, manual labor, or even just walking around the market, it's unbearable. So what do people do? They wake up early. They get things done while it's still cool. The morning, from about 5 to 8 a.m., is the most pleasant time of day. The air is fresh, sometimes there's a light breeze. You can actually move around without feeling like you're melting. This isn't just a preference. For people who work outdoors, sell things on the street, or have to commute by motorbike, this is survival. You take advantage of the cool hours because once the heat hits, everything slows down. The second reason is about work culture and economic reality. Vietnam has a very large informal economy. That means many people are self-employed. They run small businesses, sell food, provide services. They don't work office hours from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's the fixed schedule in Vietnam, applied nationwide, from government agencies, schools, hospitals, banks, to companies, all apply this time frame. So they compete with each other for customers. If you sell breakfast, you need to open early because your customers are people going to work, students going to school. If you open at 8 a.m., you've already missed the morning rush. Someone else who opened at 5:30 has already served dozens of customers. In this type of economy, waking up early gives you an advantage. You get the first customers, you make more money. Simple as that.
This creates a cycle. One vendor opens early, so the next one has to open earlier to compete. Customers get used to things being available early, so they also start their day earlier. And before you know it, the whole city is awake while it's still dark. Nobody's forcing anyone. It's not because someone's telling people they have to wake up early. It's just how the market works. If you want to succeed, you adapt, and in Vietnam, adapting means waking up when it's still dark outside. The third reason is about family and social habits. In Vietnam, breakfast is important, really important. It's not something you grab on the go or skip entirely. Many families eat together in the morning. Parents make sure their kids have a proper meal before school, or they go out together to a street stall, sit down, have pho or banh mi, chat for a bit. This means everyone in the household is up early. Kids have to get ready for school, parents have to get to work, and because schools usually start at 7 or 7:30 a.m., the whole morning routine has to begin much earlier. By 6 a.m., families are already moving. Now, this is the part where I want to address some misunderstandings, because I've heard many from foreigners. Some people think Vietnamese people wake up early because they're forced to, because they're poor and have to work harder just to survive. And sure, economic pressure is part of it for some people, but that's not the whole story. Many well-off Vietnamese people also wake up early. Doctors, lawyers, business owners, they're out at 6 a.m. having coffee or exercising. It's not just about necessity, it's a lifestyle. Others think it's because Vietnamese culture is strict, that people are pressured by family or society to follow this schedule, but that's not really true either. Yes, there are social norms, but nobody's forcing anyone out of bed. Rather, the infrastructure of daily life is built around this early schedule. If you want to participate in society, if you want fresh food, if you want to avoid traffic, you naturally start waking up earlier. The truth is, Vietnamese people wake up early because it makes sense for the way life is organized here. The climate, the economy, the social structure, they all push in that direction. It's not heroic, it's not suffering, it's just adaptation. I think this is what surprises foreigners most, not just that Vietnamese people wake up early, but that they seem to enjoy it. That the streets at 6 a.m. aren't filled with grumpy, half-asleep people dragging themselves to work. There's energy, there's purpose. Of course, not everyone loves it. Many young Vietnamese people, especially those who grew up with more Western influences, prefer to sleep in. They stay up late, wake up late, skip breakfast. The old rhythm is changing, especially in big cities. But overall, the early morning culture is still strong, and I don't think it's going away anytime soon. Because as long as Vietnam has this climate, as long as the economy works this way, as long as people value that morning time together, the day will keep starting early. So if you come to Vietnam, give it a try. Set your alarm for 5:30 a.m. just once, go outside, walk to a park, stop at a street stall for pho, sit on a small plastic stool and watch the city come to life. You might be tired, you might wonder why anyone does this every day, but you might understand something, that Vietnam doesn't wake up early just to work harder, it wakes up early to live, to take advantage of the best hours of the day, to connect with people, to eat good food while it's hot, to move before the heat makes it impossible. And maybe that's the real answer. Vietnamese people don't wake up early because they have to. They wake up early because morning in Vietnam is when life happens.
I hope this video helps you understand why everything in Vietnam starts so early. Thank you for watching.